The word supplement is big on social media right now, but what does it actually mean? Fortisips are supplements, protein powders are supplements, vitamins are supplements, but they're not all the same thing. So what exactly is a supplement? These questions are too big for me to answer. So I've enlisted the help of Corinne, who is a registered dietitian and the founder of Chickpea Marketing. Okay, Corinne, so what is a supplement? What makes a supplement? And what do people on social media think a supplement is?
Great questions. At their core, supplements are anything that's added to the diet to provide nutrients or something that isn't in the diet already. So that could mean anything from vitamins, minerals, protein powders, or specifically formulated medical drinks. On social media, though supplement gets thrown around as a all-encompassing term. Supplements could literally be from anything from health to performance. So you've got green powders, collagen. There's just so much out there.
You're right. The word supplement does get thrown around a lot on social media, and sometimes by people that don't quite necessarily know what a supplement is.
It's definitely a buzzword, isn't it?
Yeah. I mentioned Fortisips before, which are oral nutritional supplements. Can you explain what exactly they are, what they consist of, and who needs them?
An oral nutritional supplement, otherwise known as ONS, is a food for special medical purposes. So it's designed specifically to meet the nutritional needs of people that can't meet them through food alone. So that might be someone who's malnourished, for example, the elderly, or someone that's going through a period of illness. So, for example, cancer or a chronic condition that have also lost their appetite, or due to the needs and demands of their disease mean that their protein and calorie requirements are higher.
So I work in cancer care, so
they'll be used a lot.
Patients having to deal with weight loss from cancer and also a loss of appetite and taste changes because of the chemotherapy and medication.
They're different to kind of general protein powder shakes. They're made with protein, calories, but also vitamins and minerals, so that they're kind of topping up people's nutritional needs when they're not very well. That's why they're prescribed by a healthcare professional, so usually a dietitian. You can have milky ones or you can have fruit-based ones. I know you've tried them before in your content.
And some of them are not that great.
They're not the nicest at times. And my number one tip is keep them cold, because at room temperature, they're just not the same.
What kind of testing do supplements go through in the UK?
In the UK, supplements are generally listed as foods, not medicines. So they don't need to go through the same rigorous testing that pharmaceutical medicines do. But instead, the manufacturer has to ensure that all the ingredients have been tested and that the ingredients are present in safe levels. In short, supplements must be obviously safe and correctly labelled, but the purity does unfortunately heavily rely on the manufacturer's kind of onus to manufacture a safe product. So if I was basically telling a consumer or customer, what supplement they should buy, they should choose brands that are super transparent about their ingredients and their labeling, and that also that they have a good degree of evidence base. So when I look at a supplement, especially if one's kind of novel, I would be looking at to see whether they've had any testing in humans, so human clinical trials, whether the supplement ingredients themselves are actually backed by guidelines. For example, like you may see specific vitamin supplements available, but they might not have, that product might not have been tested in a specific trial done by the company, but at that dose it may be recommended by wider guidelines, in which case that's a sufficient amount of evidence base.
Something I definitely have a bit of a problem with is this concept that natural is better. The way that brands tend to market themselves is that they are natural supplements or herbal supplements, and so they're better than taking medication. But in reality, those brands don't have, like you said, they don't have to go through the same regulatory processes that actual medication needs to go through. So
definitely, it is like a marketing tactic, and obviously as someone that works in marketing, I've seen it all in terms of in the wellness space. I think there's a trend to move away from processed foods, and I think that is trickling through to supplements as well. Following the science and looking at the evidence is always best, but we're obviously in positions where we can translate a clinical paper, clinical guidelines. Consumers aren't necessarily taught to do that. A brand could have a scientific paper, but there could be a sample size of 3 people. But because it's a scientific paper, people think, oh, okay, well, that has been tested. Yeah.
Words like the ones you're saying were like meta-analysis. We would know what that means, but for a layperson, any kind of clinical study is evidence.
Yeah. At the same time, large clinical trials on nutritional ingredients is generally quite hard to get, because it's quite hard to isolate an ingredient and eliminate lots of
other factors.
External factors, yeah. And people are experiencing the product, taking the product, and they're leaving great testimonials and genuinely feel as though they're having a benefit from it. That in itself is feedback.
It's up to them at the end of the day what they want to do, and we can only advise what we think is the best option.
Yeah.
If you had to recommend 1 or 2 or 3 supplements to anyone, what would you recommend?
I'm a firm believer that if you're having a healthy, balanced diet, you should technically be getting all the nutrition you need from food and drink alone. And when we take a supplement, we should be taking it for specific reasons. So whether there's a gap in the diet or there's genuine evidence to show that by taking a supplement, it can help with a specific thing. The one for me that stands out, that has fantastic evidence behind and is recommended by the government, is vitamin D. We don't actually make enough vitamin D in the skin during the winter months, so from October, so about now, to April. And as always, consult your healthcare professional, your pharmacist, your GP, if you have any concerns about what dosage to be on. But generally speaking, most people need about 10 micrograms, so about 400 international units. Mm-hmm. Most supplements need to be quite tailored to the person.
If you've got a cold or if you get like a viral infection, having like a boost of vitamin C is supposed to be good for your immune system. So that's what I would recommend for people. Or if you're about to go on holiday, just take a bit of vitamin C before you go on the plane.
Yeah, love that. As a dietitian though, I would say have an orange instead. Or just have some fruit. And it helps to increase our iron absorption as well if people are taking iron tablets. One thing I will say about that though is that there are actually some great research to show that taking live bacterial strain can help with your immunity, because 70% of your immunity actually resides in your gut, so a lot of your immune cells are in your gut. And by taking a live bacterial strain, so particularly strains LGG and BB12, can actually help to reduce upper respiratory tract infections, especially during the winter months, alongside vitamin D as well. Like a Cochrane review that concluded that, looking after your gut health can actually help with upper respiratory tract infections.
That's so interesting, because you'd never, well, you would, but no one else would really put 2 and 2 together that your gut health and your immune health are that strongly linked.
It's so key. Look after your gut and the rest will follow. Like, it's so important for health.
Yeah, that's so interesting. If you had to sum up everything about supplements as one piece of advice, as a takeaway piece of advice, what would you say? Tell the camera.
Generally, if you have a healthy, balanced diet, you probably won't need a supplement, with the exception of vitamin D during the winter months. A supplement should really fill a gap, and whatever supplement you take should really be tailored to you. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. And if you do choose a supplement, just make sure there's sufficient evidence base. Try and look for guidelines that recommend that ingredient in that dosage. Research on the company itself to make sure that product is safe.
I guess my advice would just be make friends with a dietitian. Thank you so much.